Hello, all you lovely people, and welcome back to 22 Elevate. I am your host, Tip, and today we are going to be talking about wearing masks. We're going to talk about boundaries and time management. Okay, so over the weekend, I went to a masquerade party. Well, it was like a masquerade dance party, and it was so fun. And I've never been to any kind of masquerade party before. So it was my first time wearing one of those masks. I always like tried them on in the stores. I don't know if anybody else is a dork like me, but I always see them and I'm like, oh, they're so pretty. I'm gonna try them on. But then it's not like I ever bought them or went anywhere with them. So it was a cool experience just to even keep on the mask because those things are uncomfortable. Like I was getting a little itchy. Like I had the mask where one side was on my eye and then the other side didn't have like a little eye thing so that my eyes could breathe a little. Maybe I just have bigger eyes. I have no idea. I mean, I'm Asian. I shouldn't have bigger eyes, but that is digressing from the point. The point is, it was fun. And I was thinking about masks, and I feel like I'm saying mask weird, mask. Anyways, um, I feel like masks are very interesting and it's just an interesting concept. And when I was thinking about it, I was gonna post the picture on Facebook and I was like, ooh, I need a caption for it. And so I thought if someone takes off their mask and you see who they truly are, is that them taking off the mask? Is that them changing? Is that them being a different person, or is that them setting a boundary that you thought was them changing? Like, what is that? So I was thinking about it a little deeper, and I'm like, okay, well, let's tackle it one at a time. So, has that person changed? And they could definitely change because as much as people don't like change, they can change. We are all capable of changing, although we don't like it as humans. Like they say, and I don't know where this statistic is from, but they're like, oh, yeah, humans would rather die than change. And I think they're mostly talking about like food habits there, like health wise. People would rather stay sick than to get healthy and go on like a detox program or something like that where they're eating healthier or like not have their coffee or something like that. Oh yeah, I just showed my pants in the thing. Do you guys like it? It's so cute. My mom got it for me from Thailand. She went to Thailand and she picked up like 10 pairs for me and I was like, at first I was like, I don't know about that, but then they're so comfortable and they're pretty cute. Anyways, so is it that they changed, or maybe they just took off their mask? Maybe they were always like that and we just never knew it. I mean, this applies a lot to situations where money is involved. They say money changes you, and I don't think money changes you. I think money just reveals who you truly are. Like, I know people that they were like sweet, caring people, and they always had like some weird money things, but then they got money, like they got into a lot of money, and then suddenly they became more stuck up and they just spent their money left and right. But they were doing that already. It was just on a way smaller scale before. So I think it was like we just didn't notice it as much and they didn't let it out as much because I think money just it emphasizes who you are. So if you're a bad person, then you're going to do bad things even more. And if you're a good person, then I think that that is going to um, increase as well. Like for me, I know that I have a giving heart. That's just how I am. And I know that I've definitely given more over the years because of that. And the other thing was boundaries. Like, what if, what if it's a boundary that they set and course, they're not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm setting a boundary for you, and this is the boundary, right? People are a lot more subtle than that. Although I kind of feel like people should just say it straight up. Although when I say that, I don't know if I would be able to say it straight up. I think I would like tiptoe around it a little bit and then make my point. But maybe it was a boundary that they set, because maybe you were the toxic person in the relationship. Maybe there was just something off, and maybe it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing for them, for you, but it all works out at the end. I believe truly, and I just had a conversation with a friend about this, that people put in and remove people out of your life for a reason, and it's all during great timing. Like, an example for me was I had a friend, and he was a really good friend, and the universe removed him from my life. And once that energy was removed from my life, holy crap, I manifested like crazy, like all the good things. And it was like his energy was just blocking mine. And it wasn't like I didn't notice. It wasn't something that was really obvious. It was just like once he was out of my life, it was like, dang, my life is significantly better, and I am a lot more free, and I don't understand how that could even happen, but it happens. And so when people are placing those boundaries, maybe you place those boundaries or maybe they place that boundaries, but anyways, it makes them seem like the bad guy, or it makes you seem like the bad guy. Like, I know that I've had toxic friends in the past where I started setting a boundary where I just hang out with them less because it was really draining to be around them. And I'm okay with being their bad guy in that situation because I'm protecting my own energy. It just happens that way sometimes. And another time that the mask could be on and then taken off is the honeymoon phase. They all talk about that honeymoon phase, and some people go, "No, I don't have a honeymoon phase. This is how I am." And there are rarely people like that. I do feel like I'm that person. I don't have a honeymoon phase, or at least I've been in enough relationships long term to learn to get out of that. And so I'm not love bombing anybody. I recognize love bombing. And the honeymoon phase is crazy. So they say it's anywhere between 6 months to a year. I think it's a lot less for people. And I think that's why breakups happen a lot quicker, because they're like, dang, that person was definitely not who I thought they were. And it could happen really quick. But sometimes we ignore those red flags where we're like, oh, yeah, I think it's just a phase that they're in and all that stuff. And we make excuses for them because we quote unquote love them. And we have to kind of take off that mask for ourselves and realize that it's not that they're bad people, and it's not that we made a bad choice necessarily. It's just that their mask is coming off, and now we're seeing them for who they are. And when we see them for who they are, we have to accept them for who they are, meaning if they're walking red flag and they are not for you, then you have to let them go. And letting go is a whole nother topic in itself, because that is one of the hardest things to do. I think letting go of someone that you care about, or letting go of some friend or someone that is not good for you, is probably one of the hardest decisions that we have to make as humans. Like, we have to decide if they should or should not be in our lives. And that is so hard, because you think of all the good things that they have, the good traits that they have, and you're kind of like, well, but they're good in this way. And then you start to ignore those other toxic qualities that they have, just because you're like, well, they're also good in this way. And I've done that with friends too, like a lot of friendships, and I've had to work on letting go of those throughout the years. And now I have a check system with one of my other friends, and we kind of talk about like, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Am I making excuses for them or am I being totally valid here? And we have that in place where we check each other. And I think that's a really good thing to have. If you don't have somebody like that, you should definitely have more of those conversations where you're checking each other. And oh, yesterday I actually went to this Galentine's party and we talked about that same thing where I told them that in my relationships, I used to just kind of be private about them. And then like for example, my marriage that I got out of, when I told my best friend that I'm getting a divorce, he just was like, "What?" Because he didn't think that there was anything bad going on. And there wasn't anything bad going on. I was just not happy in the relationship. And he was like, "Well, this feels like it's from left field and all that." And I'm like, "No, I've been feeling like this for a couple years now, but I never talked about it to anybody, so he didn't know." And so I decided like I'm going to start talking about it with my, you know, certain friends, not all my friends now because it's kind of like a external check for me. And I think we also don't talk about relationships usually to our friends because, well, actually, no, there's two people. There's two types of people. There's one person where tell their friends like everything, every little detail about their relationships. And then there's the other side where they're very private, and I'm the very private person. So, anyway, so I'm going to start telling like certain things to just kind of like validate and check like, is that okay? Like, is that an acceptable thing to do because sometimes we get into those rose-colored glasses and we're like, "Oh, like, they're going to the bathroom." I'm gonna be graphic right now. They're going to the bathroom, they're going number 2, and you're like, "Oh, don't worry about the smell, like, smells good." And then maybe, like, 6 months later, you're like, "You better not go in there without the poopery, you better spray that shit, and then you better turn on the vents, and you better do this and do that." So, make sure you don't get love bombed crazy, and you realize that there's a honeymoon phase. And you set those boundaries for people and you make sure that you see through any mask that they may present to you and that you yourself are not wearing a mask. So with that, I wanted to talk about time management since we were talking a little bit about boundaries with the mask there. So time management is super important and I get asked about time management all the time because I have a little one. She's 5, almost 6, and she's special needs. And I do this. And I have to balance all the things, including therapies and life and friends and all the things and things for myself. So I've been asked a lot about time management, not just like how I handle it, but like how other people should handle it. And there's no right or wrong answer for it. I think it's just what works best for you, like what's important to you. I think that's a huge question that you can ask. Like for me, my self time is very important because I need to take little breaks. If I don't take breaks, my body starts telling me like beep 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 beep, you need to take a break. And it tells me in the form of a headache or a vertigo or something. Pain, anxiety, whatever it is, my body will tell me beep beep beep, you need to start taking a break or you need to do that. And so I end up scheduling in self-time. And actually what happened to me on Sunday was I was looking at my calendar. I always do my calendar the night before, make sure that my week is filled, make sure my next day is good to go. And I was realizing that I have a lot of work to do. And I just took on this new class as well. So I have to fit that into my schedule somehow. So I was doing my calendar and My week is so full. And I looked at that and I freaked out for a second because I didn't know where I was going to find the time to do all that. So I had a list, but I hadn't put it in a time period yet. And it just like this feeling of overwhelm just kind of swept through me. And I was like, okay, I need to just take this day by day because when I see that calendar, I get overwhelmed. So day by day, and then I need to do the time for it because I only have time to work like while the kid's at school, which is only like 3.5 hours long. And then at nighttime after she falls asleep. And so doing something like this, which is a recording, I have to do it while she's at school. But I also like the morning time as my self time because there's nobody here. If I have my self time at nighttime, I'm still like half thinking about like, is she sleeping okay? Is she gonna wake up? Is she cold? Because I have to like move the blanket for her and all that stuff. So I don't always get that freeing freeing feeling of alone time or self time when she's here. So this morning time is really important for me, but I have a full schedule this week. So there is no self time to be had in the morning. And I realize that that is what's causing me the overwhelm. It's not that I have all these things to do, but it's that I don't have self time scheduled in. So that's what was important to me because that is what will keep my peace. So, what will keep your peace? What do you need to put in your schedule to keep your peace? So for me, I decided that on Tuesday, instead of filming, I'm just going to take that day for myself in the morning because I need it. That's what I need. Your work will still be there. There will always be something to do for work. So if I, in my brain, I was like, if I work on this on Tuesday, then there is less for me to do during the daytime. And I tend to do that at night too. Like last night, me and my friend were talking and we were both working at the same time. And it was like low key working. It wasn't like, we had to use our brains, but it was like these little dumb things. I mean, it's not dumb, but these little things that we had to do like fix something on a worksheet, take out the timestamps or whatever it was, where it was like brainless work, but we still had to do it. So we were talking and doing that at the same time because we're like, well, if we get this done now, then there's going to be less for us to have to do later on in the week. And that's just how our brains work because we're like workaholics, right? And that will be there regardless if I get it done today or tomorrow. If I get that done today or tomorrow, then it's like I'm going to add something else because it's like I have that time available. I'm going to do something else. So instead of doing that, I'm going to have self time. And I crossed out all the things that I was going to do that day and I moved it to another day. And if I don't get that done, then it's going to have to go to another day. And I have a deadline set for next Monday that we're going to launch our 7-day challenge, but I'm actually thinking about moving that to the following Monday because self-time is more important to me right now. It's to keep my sanity. And it's not just me, but my teammates as well, like to keep their sanities because if I'm rushing them to do all this stuff, it's not always going to get done correctly. So for your sanity, for your peace, what will keep your peace? But I do have non-negotiables as well. I'll have 3 non-negotiables per day that no matter what, they are going to get done. So even if I need my self time in the morning, whatever my non-negotiables are, that's going to get done. And you know what? Maybe self time is your non-negotiable. I'm just talking about self time because that is what has affected me very deeply and so much. And if I don't have my self time, my body is literally making me sick so that I get that self time. And that's not good. So, the other thing that happens is you start building triggers for yourself. So if I'm not having that self time and I keep working, 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 my brain goes, well, if you are working this hard, then you're not getting your self time. So when you start working that hard again, when you start getting into that grind, I am now going to know that you don't know how to have self time. And I'm going to make you have self time when you start to work that hard. So when I get an inkling of, hey, she's going to start working that hard, stop. And it's going to build that trigger to where every time you want to work, you are forced to stop. And I'm using that one as, again, my example. You can build triggers in many other areas of your life, but I know that for me, that's what's true to me. If I start not respecting myself, my body makes sure that I respect myself. Isn't that funny? Because your body is a temple and it knows. It knows all your secrets and it wants to help you succeed, but in all the ways, not just in one area of life. Okay, that's probably enough of me talking and ranting at you. So let's do the other part of our series, which is our energy releasing. And if you haven't been here before for my energy releasing, I do it kind of like tapping. It's the same concept, but with tapping, you're releasing energy from your body and you're using like acupressure points and you literally tap places on your body. But I don't like that because I don't like looking like a monkey because you have to tap your head and you have to tap your underarms and stuff like that. So I came up with this other way of using reflexology. So you are massaging your hands. I like to start with my palm and go up my fingers and massage those. And then I even go down to my wrist to where my watch begins. I do it on both hands. And then we say positive affirmations. And we use that as an energy release because in reflexology, there are nerves going all through your hands that correlate with a spot in your body. So when we press on those spots, then we're releasing energy from those spots. So today I want to do a I want to do it on boundaries. Okay? So you're just going to close your eyes and you're going to start massaging your hands and then you're just going to listen to me and I will let you know when to open your eyes back up. But close your eyes and start massaging your hands. Today is a beautiful day. And with this beautiful day, I am learning to respect my own boundaries. What I mean by respecting my own boundaries is I not only honor what my body wants, I honor what my brain wants, and I respect my own self worthiness. By that, I mean that if someone is wearing a mask and I see their mask coming off, then I respect myself enough to notice that and to let them go or address it or see that in a different viewpoint than I have before. I am worthy of setting boundaries for myself. I am worthy of setting boundaries for other people. I am worthy of being in charge of my time. I set those time boundaries for myself because I respect myself. I value peace to the highest amount. And because I value my peace, I evaluate what's important to me. And then I set my boundaries according to what's important to me. Boundaries is one of those words that could be good or bad. Boundaries is not actually fencing myself in, but it's keeping people out that I don't want to step on my rose garden that I have built for myself. Boundaries are important to all of our lives, and I release any energy that I have surrounding boundary building. I realize that sometimes I don't build boundaries because I'm not used to it, or I feel awkward doing it, or I don't value myself enough to do it, Or maybe I've tried it in the past and it didn't work for me before, but I'm willing to do it again because it is important to me to keep my peace. All is well in my world. I am peaceful, calm, and centered. Thank you. How was that? Did you love that? Do you feel like the energy has released? I do. Um, I like to do that for myself throughout the day, part of my self care. And I just think of those positive affirmations that just come out. You can write them down beforehand if you want to, but I've done it so many times that it kind of just comes out. So I hope that you got a lot out of this. I know that we kind of went everywhere in it, and I feel like I ranted a little bit, but that's just how my brain works. And I know that's how some of y'all brain works too. So, do all the things that you do with social media. Go like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Make sure you do all those things because then it helps me know that you guys like the content and it helps us get other speakers on here too because that way they know we got a following. All right, you guys, have an amazing day. Bye.